You ever wonder why you can forget someone's name just seconds after they've told you? Yet you still remember that time you tripped in front of your whole school in the 3rd grade? Funny, isn't it? Our minds hold onto the strangest things and let go of others like sand slipping through our fingers. Well, today I want to take you on a little journey, a gentle stroll through the mind, if you will. We're going to explore what memory really is. Not just the science of how your brain stores stuff, but the deeper story. The techniques to help you remember more. Sure, but also the big questions. What does it mean to remember? And how much of who you are is made up of what you can remember? Now don't worry. I'm not here to lecture you like a dusty old professor. Think of me like that neighbor who always has a story on the porch swing, and a bit of tea if you're thirsty. You just sit back and let's talk about this incredible thing we all share but rarely understand, memory. Now, before we really start wandering through the hallways of the mind, let's pause for a moment, breathe in, and ask the question most folks never do. What is memory exactly? I mean, really? Most of the time, we treat it like a dusty filing cabinet we rifle through when we need a birthday, a password, or that embarrassing song lyric from the 90s. But oh, memory's much more than that. It's not just a storage box, it's the lens through which you see the world and yourself. Let's start with what the scientists say. You see, in the land of psychology, memory is broken down into 3 clever steps. Like a little mental assembly line that never shuts down, not even when you're sleeping. First comes encoding. That's when your brain takes something from the world, a smell, a word, a glance, and converts it into a form it can understand. Like converting a letter into a code. Then it's time for storage, where the brain tucks it away somewhere. It might keep it in short-term memory, like where you left your keys. Or maybe, just maybe, it sends it into the vault, the long-term memory where the big stuff lives. Your first kiss. The way your mother smiled when you made her laugh. The sound of rain on the tin roof when you were a child. And finally, retrieval. That's the tricky part. You ever walk into a room and forget why you came in? That's a retrieval hiccup. The memory might still be there, safe and sound, but your brain just lost the map. Sounds like a machine, doesn't it? All logical and mechanical. But here's where it gets spicy. See, the philosophers, they saw memory not just as a tool, but as a mirror. A mirror of the soul. You know John Locke? Old English philosopher with a wig that probably weighed more than a newborn? He said something that still echoes centuries later. Memory is the glue of identity. He believed that your sense of self, your you-ness, wasn't tied to your body or even to your thoughts in the moment, but to the memories you carry. If you remember doing something, if you can step into that memory and say, yes, that was me, then in Locke's eyes, you still are that person. Now here's the twist that's haunted thinkers ever since. If you forget who you were, do you stop being that person? If a memory fades, does a part of you fade too? It's a chilling thought, isn't it? But also kind of beautiful. Because it means memory is more than just information, it's identity. And every moment you remember is a thread that ties you to your past. So here's how we're going to unravel this tale, bit by bit, like a good mystery novel with just the right amount of heart. Part 1. We open the door to the brain itself. The science. The circuits. The strange, sneaky way the mind picks what to remember and what to toss away like last week's newspaper. Why does one detail stick like gum on your shoe, while another slips through the cracks before lunch? You'll learn how memories are formed, why we forget, and how your brain edits memories like a biased film director. Part 2. We get practical. I'll share tools, powerful, effective, simple tools, to help you remember more. Tricks used by memory champions, psychologists, even monks. And no, you don't need to be a genius. Just someone who's ready to train their mind like a muscle, and I promise, by the end of this, you'll know how. And then comes part 3, the deep end. That's where we leave the charts and graphs behind and walk into philosophy's garden. There, we'll ask the big, strange, beautiful questions. Like, if memories can be altered, what's real? If your memories were given to someone else, would they become you? And maybe the most haunting one of all. Are we remembering our lives? or just the stories we tell ourselves about them. So if you're still here with me, sitting on this porch in the mind's quiet corner, then let me say this, you're in for something special. Not just facts and figures, but a journey inward, through memory, and into what it means to be human. Now, let's pull up a chair and settle in a little deeper, because this next part is like sitting in front of a fire and slowly peeling back the pages of a story you didn't even know you were part of. We're stepping into the psychology of memory, how it works, how it fails, and why your mind sometimes holds onto the oddest little details while forgetting the things you swear you'd never let go of. 3 rooms in the house of memory. Let's start with the basics, types of memory. I want you to imagine your mind as a strange, beautiful house. Now in this house, there are 3 main rooms where memories live. Each one's got its own rules and rhythms. First room, sensory memory. The first room is more like a hallway, really, a place you pass through without even noticing. This is sensory memory. It's fast, fleeting, like the echo of a footstep or the smell of smoke in the wind. You walk into a bakery and catch the scent of cinnamon and warm dough. For a second, just a second, it's all you can think about. But then it's gone. That's sensory memory at work. It lasts for just milliseconds unless something tells your brain, hey, pay attention to this. Second room, short-term, working memory. Now step into the next room, short-term memory. You could call this the kitchen of your mind. Things get chopped up, rearranged, and tossed around in real time. This is where you hold onto information for just long enough to use it. Remembering a phone number. Repeating someone's name after they introduced themselves. Trying to remember the 3 things you came to the store to get until you leave with 5 things except those 3. It's a small space too, about 7 items, give or take. That's not a lot. Your brain's doing its best, but this room gets crowded fast. And when something new walks in, something old usually gets pushed out. Third room, long-term memory. Now let's climb the stairs to the attic. Dusty, deep, sometimes hard to navigate, but oh, what treasures live here. This is long-term memory. Some of the things in here are facts, who your president is, what year you graduated, the recipe your grandmother taught you. These are called explicit memories. You can talk about them, point to them, explain them. But there are also memories you can't quite explain. Like how to tie your shoes. Or ride a bicycle. Or that gut instinct you get when something feels familiar but you can't say why. These are implicit memories, learned through repetition, through doing, through living. They become part of you without asking for your permission. How memory actually works. Now let's open up the floorboards and take a look at the plumbing. The process of memory works in 3 steps: encoding, storage, and retrieval. Just like planting a garden, you have to sow the seeds, water them, and eventually harvest what grows. Encoding is where it all begins. The brain takes in information and tries to figure out if it's worth keeping. But here's the thing, it doesn't treat everything equally. It loves what's new, what's emotional, what's vivid. Ever wonder why you can remember the exact look on your teacher's face when she scolded you in 3rd grade, but not what you ate for lunch yesterday? That's encoding. Emotion sends a signal to your brain that says, hey, this matters. It's also tied to attention. You've got to notice something for it to be encoded. Ever met someone, shook their hand, heard their name, and forgot it 5 seconds later? Yeah, your brain was probably focused on your own sweaty palm, or what you were going to say next. Without attention, encoding doesn't happen. The seed never hits the soil. Then comes storage. This is the part where the brain decides where to keep the memory and how to organize it. You know how some folks are just neat and others, well, not so much? The brain's the same. If you've been getting enough sleep, that's like your brain tidying the files at night, making sure everything's in the right drawer. But if you're exhausted, stressed, or overloaded, those files pile up and some of them never get stored properly. There's a little structure deep in your brain called the hippocampus, Latin for seahorse, because that's what it looks like. This little guy plays a huge role in sorting long-term memories. If it's damaged or under pressure, memories get jumbled or lost altogether. Finally, retrieval. This is where you go searching through the mental attic hoping to find that one old box. Sometimes it pops right into your hand. Other times, well, you're standing there muttering, "It's on the tip of my tongue." The memory's there, but the path to it is overgrown. And here's the wild part, your mood and context matter. You're more likely to recall a sad memory when you're feeling down, or a funny memory when you're laughing with friends. Your environment becomes a cue. That's called context-dependent memory. It's like each memory leaves behind a trail of breadcrumbs. Your emotions, the weather that day, the music playing in the background, all these little cues can bring it back. Now let's talk about forgetting. Because it's not a flaw, it's part of the design. Sometimes forgetting is the brain's way of protecting us, simplifying our lives, or just making room for the new. Some memories just fade. If you don't walk a path, the grass grows over it. That's called decay theory, the idea that unused memories weaken over time. It's like trying to remember your 4th grade locker combination when you haven't thought about it in 20 years. Unless something revives it, it's gone. Then there's interference, and this one's a real troublemaker. Old memories can block new ones, and new ones can push out old ones. Ever change your password and keep typing the old one out of habit? That's interference. Your brain's just trying to help, but it gets confused. And sometimes the memory's there, you just can't reach it. That's retrieval failure. You ever run into someone at the store, and you know their face, their voice, where you know them from, but their name? Gone. That's because the name is stored in one mental folder, and the face is in another. The wires didn't connect this time. Let me tell you about an old German researcher, Hermann Ebbinghaus. He charted how fast we forget things. Turns out, if you don't revisit what you've learned, you'll forget most of it within 24 hours. That's what we call the forgetting curve. But don't worry, we'll talk about how to beat that curve later. So there it is. Memory, not just a filing system, but a living, breathing part of who you are. Sometimes sharp as a tack, other times slippery as a fish. But always working, always trying, always shaping the story of you. In the next part, we're opening up the toolbox. Memory palaces. Mnemonics. The tricks the ancients used and the ones neuroscientists recommend today. Because with a little practice, you can start remembering more than you ever thought possible and even reshape the way you think. Let me take you back to when I was a schoolboy struggling to remember the order of the planets. My teacher said, "Just remember, my very educated mother just served us nachos." Boom, Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune. That's a mnemonic device. It's a trick, a little hook for your brain to hang things on. There are different kinds. Acronyms like that one, or rhymes, or mental pictures. The weirder, the better. The brain loves weird. It loves vivid, strange, unexpected. Then there's something ancient, older than chalkboards and textbooks, the method of loci, or the memory palace. Imagine walking through your house in your mind. You place things you want to remember in specific spots, the grocery list on your couch, your speech notes in the bathroom sink. Later, you just walk through the house in your mind, and there they are. The brain's better at remembering places than lists. Roman senators used this trick to remember hour-long speeches. You can too. Now here's the trick most folks don't realize. Repetition isn't enough. It's when you repeat that matters. If you try to memorize everything in one sitting, your brain will say, "Nice try," and drop most of it by tomorrow. But if you space it out, remind yourself just before you're about to forget, it sticks deeper every time. Like layering varnish on old wood. This is where that forgetting curve we talked about comes in. A scientist named Ebbinghaus mapped it out. Without review, we forget things fast. But with spaced repetition, each review resets the curve. You forget less each time. It's like slowly pouring concrete over the memory. And hey, there's even a tool for this, Anki. A little digital flashcard app that uses spaced repetition for you. You just answer the card and it shows it to you again at just the right time tomorrow, in a few days, next week. It's like your memory's personal trainer. Now let me tell you a secret. If you want to remember anything, turn it into a story. The human brain doesn't care for raw data. It's like trying to eat uncooked rice. But wrap that same info in a story, and suddenly it's a 5-course meal. Say you're trying to remember a random list of words. Apple, ladder, moon, cat, balloon. Sounds hard, right? But now imagine this. An apple rolls down the street and hits a ladder, which tips over and launches a cat onto the moon, where it chases a balloon. Silly? Absolutely. But guess what? You'll never forget it now. That's the magic of visualization and storytelling. You give the information a place in your imagination. You make it emotional, colorful, funny. And your brain says, this is worth keeping. Now tell me this. If I asked you to remember the number 178-349-2061, you'd probably groan. But what if I said 1783, 492, 061? Feels easier, right? That's chunking. Taking a big hunk of info and breaking it into smaller, meaningful pieces. It's how we remember phone numbers, birthdays, license plates. Even the words you're reading now are chunked into syllables, into sentences. The brain's working behind the scenes, organizing everything into manageable parts. And you can use that to your advantage, group info together into categories, shapes, ideas. Suddenly it's not 20 pieces, it's just 4 little chunks. Finally, the most powerful trick of all, emotion. The truth is, the things we feel are the things we keep. You ever hear an old song and suddenly you're 12 years old again, standing in your grandma's kitchen, tasting soup and sunlight at the same time? That's emotional anchoring. The memory tied itself to a feeling, and that's why it stayed. You can use this on purpose, too. When you're learning something important, try to tie it to a personal story. A moment. A dream. A hope. Want to remember a historical date? Imagine how it would have felt to live in that time. Want to memorize a poem? Say it during a walk at sunset, link it to a mood, a place, a feeling. The heart and the mind aren't separate. They dance. And when you feel something as you learn it, that memory will last longer than facts ever could. So there you have it, tools for the taking. Mnemonics for the creative, repetition for the patient, stories for the dreamers, chunks for the organizers, and emotion for the soul. And now, as we step into the final chapter of this journey, we'll ask a question no textbook can answer. What is memory, really? What does it mean to remember, not just to recall, but to be connected to a past version of yourself? We'll wander through time, identity, and the philosophy of memory. And I promise it'll stay with you. When I was a teenager, I asked my grandfather, "How do you know who you are?" He laughed and said, "I remember." I didn't get it then. I thought identity was about your name, your job, your face in the mirror. But the older I get, the more I understand what he meant. You see, John Locke, the 17th century philosopher, believed that the core of who we are isn't our body. It's our memories. Not just any memories, but the ones we can actively recall, the ones we own. He argued that if you can remember doing something, then that you who did it is still you. It's a beautiful idea, continuity of consciousness. That you are a chain of remembered moments, each one linking to the next. And yet, it raises troubling questions too. What if you lose a memory? Through trauma, illness, or time? Are you still the same person? And if your memories can fade, or change, or be false, what does that mean for the you think you are? Now, Nietzsche, that sly devil, had a different take. He said, the advantage of a bad memory is that one enjoys several times the same good things for the first time. To him, memory could be a burden. Forgetting wasn't failure, it was freedom. A way to experience life anew, unchained from what came before. Imagine how light we'd feel if we didn't carry our entire past on our backs. So I ask you, is it better to remember everything, or to forget just enough to stay free? Let me know in the comments. Which side are you on, Locke or Nietzsche? Now here's where things get slippery. Because just when you start believing that memory is your foundation, psychology comes knocking with a crooked smile. Meet Elizabeth Loftus, a cognitive psychologist who made a career out of proving one uncomfortable truth. Memory lies. And not just a little, often, dramatically, and with total confidence. In her studies, Loftus showed how false memories can be planted, how people can remember entire events that never happened. A childhood trip to Disneyland where Bugs Bunny gave them a hug. Hint: Bugs isn't even a Disney character. But people swear it happened. They see it in their minds. You know what that means? Memory is not a recording device. It's not a video you replay. It's more like a painting that gets redrawn every time you look at it. Details shift. Colors fade. Brushstrokes appear where they weren't before. That vacation you cherish? The argument you regret? They might not be quite the way you recall. Memory is constructive, not preservative. We don't retrieve, we rebuild. Has that ever happened to you? You and someone else remember the same event totally differently? Share it in the comments. I want to hear your story. And now, my friend, let's turn from the West and sit with the quiet wisdom of the East. In Buddhist philosophy, the self is seen as a flowing process, not a fixed object. Just like a river isn't the same water from moment to moment, the self isn't a thing. It's an unfolding. Memories? They're seen as both useful and dangerous. Because if you cling too tightly to them, especially the painful ones, you suffer. You become trapped in a prison of your own construction. A cage made of what was. The Buddha taught that clinging to memory is a source of suffering because memory can deceive us into believing we are fixed beings, unchanging, wounded, defined by our past. But if memory is fleeting, flawed, and always changing, then maybe the self is too. Maybe you're not who you were 5 years ago. Maybe you're not even the same person you were yesterday. And maybe that's okay. Here's a question for you to sit with. If your memories make up your identity, but your memories are incomplete or false, then who are you, really? Leave your thoughts below. Let's get philosophical together. So where does this leave us? Are we a bundle of neurons playing backstories? Are we souls wrapped in echoes? Are we simply the sum of what we remember and what we choose to forget? Maybe it's all true. Maybe memory is a mirror that sometimes shows your face and sometimes someone else's. Maybe it's a garden where some flowers bloom again and others fade without warning. But one thing's for sure, memory matters. It shapes how we see the world, how we treat each other, how we tell the story of who we are. So honor your memories, but don't be a prisoner to them. Use them, but don't be used by them. And if you must forget, let it be the pain, not the lesson. And above all, remember this. Even if your memory fades, your presence, your kindness, your love, those leave traces that live on in the minds of others. In that way, you'll never truly be forgotten. If this video stirred something inside you, if it made you remember, or question, or smile, or cry, please share your thoughts in the comments. I want this to be more than a video. I want it to be a conversation. And if you know someone who's been wrestling with memory, losing it, fearing it, or trying to rebuild it, send this to them. Let them know they're not alone. Until next time, friend, remember gently, forget gracefully, and above all, be here now.